I like to start from top and go to the bottom. So we start with the head, and I like to test the head movements. So for each of the movements that we're going to be doing, it's very important to just feel how it feels. Don't have to solve a problem, just have to feel. First of all, is the movement symmetrical on both sides? Does it feel nice on both sides? Do you feel some restriction? And then, how smooth is the movement? Because oftentimes you will have full range of motion, but the movement's not very smooth. And then lastly, we will always look at two parts. So can we separate? Like head from the chest and chest from the lower parts and feet from the hips. So if that all can be done, then you're actually in a very good position to ride. Because in riding, we always want to move different parts of the body in a different time or in a different manner to make the most of the riding.
Okay.
Good. So we're starting with the head, and the first thing I would like you to try to do or look at the other person, so it works both ways. If you're doing it with yourself, that I would suggest to take a friend who would also either film it, or you can film it yourself, or you can use a mirror a little bit, but that's more difficult. So filming it and then going through it is probably the easiest way. So ask a friend or film yourself, and you will look at the first movement is just looking right and left. So we want to look right and left and try to see how that feels in both sides. Can I do it equally? Do I tilt the head or do any extra movements there? How smooth is the movement? Any pain, any discomfort? And do I move, when I move the head right to left, can I leave the chest facing forward? Because oftentimes you'll see that you go with the chest. So we want to see the separation between the head movements and the chest movements.
And this you see in many riders that turn their head more to one side, and also maybe that the chest goes and they have weight on that side, they don't realize it.
Exactly.
So it will help to balance the horse.
Yeah, it will help to balance the horse. Also, oftentimes I find it with jumping riders, because when you clear a jump, you have to find another jump. So you want to look for the jump, but you don't want to immediately turn. And if you turn the shoulders with you, you will upset the balance a little bit. So it might be seconds of your course.
Great.
Okay, so first is right to left, then we look up and we look down. This is the movement we would like to see from front and also from the side, because then you can see how the neck. So what we would like to see is clear looking up without falling too much, and then slowly down with smooth movement. But we want to see some flexion. So the neck has to a little bit bend and the chin comes in. So what you will see oftentimes is that people will go with the head forward and then they go back and then maybe go down and feel tightness between the shoulder blades, because it's not a clean movement. So that's something to look at.
Is this a typical problem for screen lookers today?
I think, it will be for screen lookers. It will also be oftentimes seen for people who have very tight chest area, because if this doesn't move, something has to move more. So oftentimes it's the neck that gets very moved. So, and also where you feel the pull. So when they go down, they will say, okay, so this is usually not the most comfortable. And they will feel the tug either between here, so that's upper. Now it's the upper part of the lower part of the neck, upper part of the thoracic spine, or even down to the between the shoulder blades. So, and that can indicate where we want to look up for tightness. Why is it not? If it's up here, that could be a neck issue. If it goes down here, it's definitely already have to look at the chest. So up and down. Also, it's important to note that do they actually make the movement? Because with up and down, they oftentimes will just go with eyes up, and eyes down, and you see almost no movement with the head. So they're a little bit afraid to move the head. And then we do the same when you turn the head a little bit to the side. So something like 45 degrees, and you go up and you go down. So this will really show which shoulder area is going to be tighter, because they will usually complain more about going down, that they feel tightness around here or restriction. And the same on the other side, a couple of times up and down, and then you can see how compare from side to side, which side is easier, where it's more tightness, where you want to pay more attention to.
Is this typical where riders have one shoulder going up more and forward more also?
Actually, they might not pull the shoulder up and forward, but they will really distinctively feel, because the shoulder's kind of like fixated into this position, so they will really feel that stretch over here from the shoulder blade to the up here. So they will feel the tightness, but in a different way.
And when they ride?
And when they ride, they might pull the shoulder up, or it will in general be harder for them to control it. They will not be able to put it back.
What does the trainer normally tell them?
The trainer will normally tell you to pull the shoulders back, or pull the shoulders down, or straighten up the spine between. There are other kind of variations.
But it doesn't really help to do that when they're just riding. They need to do something else.
Yeah. So usually they will need to have some help on the ground, because then they can actually move and feel free. And then you can say that please put the shoulder blades a little bit down, and it works much nicer and improve the contact. So upper body usually is, when we work on the upper body, they improve in contact with the horse. So if you have a contact issues, you're losing reins very often, taking them shorter, and the trainer has to say a million times, take the reins shorter, keep the reins shorter. That usually indicates that you can't hold the hands here for long, and it can come from the tightness around the shoulders, because it's very difficult to hold it here when you're tight. So contact is the main thing why we look at the chest.
Perfect.
Okay, so we go up, down, and the last movement is slight tilt from one side to the other side. So we want to see where they tilt. On the first, people usually go too much, and then they tilt on the lower part. This is not what we want to see. We want to see upper part.
So we're just thinking cheek up a little bit. Yeah.
Like slight like nodding to the side. You will sometimes see riders actually like riding in this little nod. So that could indicate they're a little bit more likely to be better and a bit maybe stuck even in this movement and not able to move to the other side. For me, it indicates for me the tightness around the occipital region. So these ones are very closely related to the eyes. So eye strain, can they really process the eyes will be tired, so they can't see the distance so clearly. It's a lot of things in everyday life. Also tightness then afterwards. So it's like a chain of reaction. And for me, before I touch them, I like to see if they can actually move in one way. So sometimes they can even have a little bit of pain. But if the rider or yourself, if you complain, feel a little bit of pain, try to move it a couple of times, it goes away, then you probably just needed to feel moving. If it doesn't improve with 2-3 times, then usually we stop there, and you would probably want to see somebody who can really check it out.